So it's been a really long time since I've done a tournament report. I think my last report was for my nationals trip over the summer. I played in 3 battle roads, but pretty much whiffed getting anything, placing really and getting any points in all 3. And today I went to my first cities tournament of the season. Again, I'm not going to be playing in that many, just 3. So I was really hoping to do a lot better than my battle roads and just at least top cut and maybe get a few points. So and honestly, I will say I still feel like my win or my accomplishment today was really, really lucky. I did pull some out some really good moves, but overall, I just really don't think my deck was quite tweaked enough, and I misplayed a lot. So I'm going to go over my matches, I'm going to go over my deck, and so the people that want to play the deck that I did maybe won't make the same mistakes that I did. So first off, I'd like to introduce you to the Panpour in the background, my little plushie Panpour that I won at the raffle today. So I think it's really, really cute, and it's really, really soft. So typically I sell kind of all non-Pokemon card items, but I don't know, I kind of like this guy, so I might hold on to him for a while. Let's go ahead and just dive right into the deck list, since I know that's probably most everyone is really interested in seeing. So let me just grab half of it. I ran a Darkrai Hydreigon deck, and I only ran 2 Sableye. I found that while the 3rd Sableye helps you start with it, it's not really necessary to start with it, and that one card could really be used for a lot of other cards in the deck. I ran a 4-1-3 line of Hydreigon, and the reason why I bumped my Deanno line up from 3 to 4, splitting between the 2 the 2 Dark and the 2 Dragon types, is because of the new addition of Landorus. So the Dragon type Deanno runs the risk of being donked by the secret, well, I guess now it's in Dragon Bolt, but the Hollow Rayquaza, and then the Dark Deanno runs the risk of being donked by Landorus. So that's why I went for a 2-2 split, to hopefully prevent being donked, as well as, ensuring that I get set up. And yeah, with 4 Deanno, I found it really makes the Hydreigon line go a lot faster. Only 1 Zweilous, I do focus on a lot of rare candy, and then 3 of the Hydreigon ability, the big star of the deck, Dark Trans, moving my energy around so that I don't have to be as careful with my energy attachments as long as I have a Hydreigon on the field. And yeah. So the big attacker of the deck, Hydreigon's my big tech. Well, not really tech, but assistant, I suppose. And Darkrai is the big attacker. Free retreat on everything, and Dark Cloak to be able to, I'm sorry, not Dark Cloak, Night Spear to be able to snipe and hit. 1 Mewtwo EX, and just Mewtwo's good for just about every occasion. It's really good against Blastoise Keldeo. You can have the potential to donk. There's just all sorts of potential with that. And this is a new addition to my Darkrai deck, a Keldeo tech. Now, when I talked to people online that had tested this out, they absolutely loved this card in the deck. I can't say that I really used it at all today, and the one time it did hit the board, it was just a dead card. Now, I will say, I will explain the theory of running it, because there are many situations where you want to use it, and if you see a lot of these types of decks in your area, then Keldeo is definitely the play for you. Darkrai, because it has the free retreat ability, does not run switch. So what Keldeo is for the Russian ability. It's actually also for Landorus. It's a nice attacker that isn't Darkrai, that isn't weak to the fighting type. So that's 1 plus there. But Russian is really to get out of special conditions. If you've got Excelgor, decks are ones that we're probably not seeing too many of, but the big threat that I was expecting to see was the combination of Victini and Tynamo. We saw a lot of those at regionals, and they really just, they by paralyzing your opponent, it gives them a lot more time to set up, but Keldeo's rush in really that prevents that from happening. So that was my Pokemon line, but again, I didn't see really many Ray Eels in my area, so for my particular area, that really was not an essential card. So let me grab the next stack of cards. Alright. So 4N, just essential. Early game, great for a fresh hand. Late game N to disrupt your opponent and hopefully get you back in the game if you're behind. 4 Juniper, since we run Sableye, we can easily get trainers back, so we're not too worried about discarding essentials. 3 Skyla. I absolutely love this card. There are so many times that I found myself Skyling for that rare candy or that Ultra Ball to ensure the turn 2 Hydreigon. I'm trying to think, so many good potentials here. Just the getting the Hydreigon up was the big one, but Skyla can be used for so many things. Searching out Catcher is another big one, just making sure that you have that. 2 Random Receiver, and the only time I really don't like this card is when I hit a Skyla. Typically when I'm using Random Receiver, I'm trying to hit something for Draw Power, or Juniper, or an N, but still, it's still quite helpful. 3 Max Potion, and that's another benefit of Hydreigon. You move your energy off, heal your Pokemon, and unless they're one-shotting you, these guys keep you alive. 3 Dart Patch, and this is to speed up your energy acceleration with Darkrai, and being able to reuse this with Sableye is also very, very helpful. 3 Rare Candy, very essential for getting up that Hydreigon line. 4 Ultra Ball for searching out absolutely everything and getting the dark energy in the discard pile early on so you can use Dart Patch. 3 Catcher to bring up that bench. 2 Eviolite to kind of make it a little more difficult for Terrakions and Landorus to knock you out in one shot. 1 Computer Search because you never know what card you might need one of, and with Sableye being able to reuse this is amazing. If you can use this on turn 1, then you Sableye to put it back in, you already have a huge advantage against your opponent. 1 Level Ball. I only have 1 Level Ball because, Ultra Ball is just so much more consistent in getting out the Hydreigons and the Darkrai's and Mewtwo's. But Level Ball does search out the Deanos, Wellis, and Sableyes. Ultra Ball can also search them out, but the Level Ball just helps out a little bit. And then 1 Super Rod just because, and this may be one that I could forgo in the future, but there's been just too many times where I've had, like 2 Hydreigon prize and my only one's been knocked out and I really needed the Super Rod. Or if you discard something, like your only Hydreigon or something like that with a Juniper, getting that back in the deck is very essential. So I only run 3 Blend. A lot of people do run 4, and this is so that I can also attack with my Hydreigon as well as my Darkrai. Again, this is just really a personal preference. I love only having 3 Blend, with hammers being more of a threat. I often find that if a blend hits the field before I'm ready for it or ready to use it, usually it's a waste. So I found that I really haven't had any problems with just 3 blend energy. And then I run 8 basic dark. So that's the deck list. Before I go into my matches, I'll, obviously I won the Panpour. Still kind of debating on whether or not I want to keep it just because it's so cute. But I know a lot of other people that, have plushie collections will probably appreciate it a lot more. So for 4th place, in addition to some cool championship points, not that I'll have enough this season to get a World's invite, but it's still kind of cool to be at least on the board in points. Got some Boundaries Cross booster packs, picked up 4 of them. Now I only need a few cards left to complete my collection. Full Art Skyla, Full Art Bianca, Shiny Altaria, and Shiny Terrakion. Everything else I should have coming in the mail via trades. So the chances of me opening up these packs and pulling one of those 4 cards are very, very slim. So right now I'm just going to put them up for sale. I might even consider trading them if you had, I don't know if I'd really trade them for the Altaria or the Bianca. I don't know. I'd probably put a bigger preference on Skyla or Terrakion. But either way, those are definitely going to at least be up for sale. And I might be able to consider trading for packs. So let's go ahead and go through my matches. So my first match was against a really cool guy that played a lot of Garbodor decks when he played in Battle Roads. So when I saw that I was paired up against him, I was really terrified that I was going to hit a Garbodor deck. I don't run Tool Scrapper, so Garbodor matches can be difficult for me. We flip over our cards though when he starts out as Zekrom, so I'm like, okay, he's going for Eels. Well, then a Bouffalant hits the field. and a Terrakion hits the field, but he can't draw a supporter. The deck he ended up playing, but unfortunately I really wasn't able to see much of it, at least in that match, was a Ho-Oh deck. And Ho-Oh and Friends, as I like to call it, is pretty much you run a lot of Juniper, Ultra Ball, stuff that discards. You try and throw out your Ho-Oh so you can rebirth and with lots of different energy to get them back onto the field. And because you run all that different energy, you can really tech in lots of different things. I didn't quite understand the Zekrom tech, but he also ran Mewtwo, Terrakion, and Terrakion's a nice threat against my deck. But what he really just ran into terrible luck, and he never hit a supporter all game, so he really wasn't able to get the deck moving, and I was just able to really easily sweep him. We did play another game after that, and while it was much closer, he did get me in that one. So I'm very thankful that he had the terrible luck on the supporter drought. So my second game was against a Landorus Garbodor deck. So again, huge threat against me. Garbodor shuts down my abilities, so that already makes things difficult. Landorus has the type advantage over my Darkrai, and what really hurt, now, I still had a chance in this game. It's not a clean sweep. I do run Keldeo, so I had a chance there. I do run the Mewtwo. So, catch her up and, I could easily knock out the Garbodor. Not too bad. So I should still have a fighting chance. However, and I think this was karma getting me back for my opponent not drawing a supporter on our first game, is I really didn't hit any energy. I think in the entire game, I hit 2 energy. And I don't think I took a prize. I captured up at the very end. I end him down to 1 or 2. I captured up a Garbodor to try and stall. I end up having to use a computer search to search out an energy just to hopefully get something onto the field. And in that 1 or 2 cards, he hit the Skyla to pull out a switch. So really good guy though, no hard feelings whatsoever, and the last tournament, the Battle Roads tournament in that same city, was actually his first time playing, so this was I beat him in that one, so I told him this was kind of his revenge for me beating him that first time. So my third game was against Blastoise Keldeo, and that's the deck I really want to play. I just don't have enough Blastoise or Keldeo yet, even if I pull the cards from my collection, and I hate pulling the cards from my collection to play with. It just, I have to be so extremely careful with shuffling so they don't get damaged. Anyways, Blastoise Keldeo, awesome deck. Definitely look it up if you really want more details. But I misplayed all over the board. I had searched my deck early on. I thought I saw 2 Hydreigon in there, so I thought it was safe to Juniper at one point when I had Hydreigon in hand early on, to Juniper the Hydreigon that was in my hand away, thinking I had another one in the deck. I didn't. I had 2 Hydreigon prized. So I ended up Ultra Balling for just something random. So that was my first misplay, or at least my first obvious misplay. Second big misplay was I only had 2 energy on the field. I Ultra Balled an energy away before I end him, and used a catcher to bring up a Blastoise. Had my Darkrai had that 3rd energy on it, would have been able to knock out the Blastoise and really set him back. However, if I had noticed that I didn't have well, I think pretty much what I did was I just, I was playing it too risky, and when I didn't end myself into any energy. I think I did intentionally do that, just assuming that I would end myself into some sort of energy, and unfortunately I didn't. So that was, I still consider that a big misplay, just by not playing it safe, and, just a risky move that didn't need to be played right then. My third big misplay was, we're really close on prizes, and I put up a Sableye and Junk Hunt for 2 Max Potion. At this point I had pulled my prizes and gotten some Hydreigon out, so thinking that Max Potions would keep me in it for a little while longer. Problem was I had already Skyled for a Juniper the turn before, and so I knew that on that next turn I was just going to be tossing out whatever was in my hand. I should have gone for a double Dark Patch, or even a Dark Patch and a Catcher, something like that, to get the energy back onto the field. But yeah, so I essentially sacrificed a Sableye for nothing, and because I didn't draw into an N or anything like that, so I had to just Juniper away the max potions. But the reason that was a misplay, I knew that's what I was going to do. Somehow, though, after all that misplaying, I still won. He loaded up a Keldeo to be able to take out a crucial Pokemon. He needed, he had one prize left. I think I had two. I bring up a Mewtwo, and I just had enough energy because of all the energy he attached to his Blastoise to be able to knock his Keldeo out with my Mewtwo. So that was a game. Now he did have a little bit of bad luck as well. His Tropical Beach was prized, and I believe he said a Blend Energy was prized. I think he was planning on using it for maybe a Terrakion or something like that. So he did have some bad luck as well, but man, I thought he had that game for sure. But that was a really awesome game. My fourth game was another Ho-Oh deck, similar to my first game. Pretty much the same build, Ho-Oh, Ability, Bouffalant, stuff like that. He starts off with a Ho-Oh and just isn't able to get going. He's able to get supporters and stuff, so he's able to play through, and I think took a couple prizes, but he's just not able to get the energy on the field fast enough. He's not able to discard the Ho-Ohs and the energy to be able to rebirth, and by the time he did, I was just really too set up, and I had the board control. My fifth game was, so at this point I'm feeling pretty good. I'm 3-1. My fifth game was against Darkrai Terrakion, and I'd say I'd call it a speed Darkrai Terrakion. He actually bought a card for me for the deck a while ago, so he's a PokeTuber follower, whatever you want to call him. So really cool guy. I actually don't know what his YouTube name is because he contacted me via email, but really awesome guy. And he even admitted that if he would get to go through his deck and pick out his ideal first hand, that's what I cut him into. He almost had the turn 1 Darkrai. He had, the Ultra Ball 2 energy away, a Dart Patch. I think he ended and got another Dart Patch. He had an energy and he had to attach. He had another supporter to keep him up, and just that amazing start. And he kept on, even after that one start, just steadily going. Terrakion's on the field, Darkrai's on the field, and he just pretty much swept through me. I think I took a couple prizes, maybe. Not even sure if I even did that. He just blew through me. So now I'm 3-2, and I have to win the next game to even have a shot at Top Cut. So I find out that I'm playing my good friend Robbie, who I had just lent him a bunch of cards for his deck. So I tease him, you gotta let me win. I let you borrow cards for the deck, but of course we're not actually going to do that. But he was playing Empoleon, and Empoleon is a really awesome deck. Its ability, Diving Draw, really keeps you out of those late game ends. He also played Mewtwo, although I didn't know it for almost the entire game. What really won me this game was I decided to play it risky, and I knocked out his Empoleon. I think he had another Empoleon on the bench, but he didn't have an energy attached to it. But I knocked out an Empoleon with a Hydreigon, knowing that he couldn't really knock my Hydreigon out, but it did take a lot of my energy off the field, and I kind of had to play it slow for a little while. I did that actually twice, which is what won it for me. And at one point, I actually had, I had the option to take out finish taking out his Empoleon with a Mewtwo and just loading up the energy on it. I had not seen any evidence that he ran Mewtwo or DCE, so I thought I had a pretty good shot, and I'm about to play them down, and I'm like, no, let's go for the safer play and use Hydreigon again. That wipes out, I think all my energy on the field but 2. But had he had the Mewtwo DCE in hand, he only had 2 prizes left, and he would have won. So I took it out with the Hydreigon, which was the best move, and he ends up scooping after that. He flips over like the few cards left in his deck, shows me the Mewtwo DCE that had been sitting in there all game. He just was never able to hit them at the same time when it really mattered, and he was just out of resources at that point. So really, really awesome game. I feel really bad for him that he had like no sleep and a driven hours for the tournament and went 3-3. But pairings go up, and I barely made it into Top Cut at 8th place. So unfortunate thing about coming in at 8th place is that you have to play the person that hit 4th place. Really cool guy, a Blastoise Keldeo player that had just moved out here from California. Very, very good. Our first game, I mean, we are neck and neck in prizes, but he takes out my Hydreigons, and I'm not able to get the energy back up on the field to really keep up with things. And at one point, all I have left are 2 Sableye. I think I still have 1, maybe 2 prizes left to take, and he only has or like 2 prizes left. He ends, draws, and realizes that he miscounted his deck by 1 card. He was going to deck out not that turn, but the turn after that. So all I had to do was pass. I promoted a Sableye. I mean, I really had no choice. All I had to do was not put down an EX for him to take out those 2 prizes in 1 turn. So he knocks out a Sableye, or he draws the last card in his deck, knocks out the Sableye. I promote my last Sableye, and all I have to do is pass. He's not able to draw a card on his turn. He decks himself out. So really unfortunate way to go down in that in that one, but just miscalculated by 1 card. So the second game, he gets to go first, and again, such a close game, neck and neck. What ends up happening is we start pretty much a Mewtwo war. I think I took out a Keldeo that was loaded up with a ton of energy with a Mewtwo. He promotes his Mewtwo, attaches 3 energy, knocks mine out, and I pull some Mewtwo shenanigans. I play a Super Rod, I put the Mewtwo back in my deck with some energy, I Juniper, and I pull into, I believe it was the Mewtwo, the energy, and the Dark Patch that I needed, because I think I didn't have any energy on the field whatsoever after he knocked out that Mewtwo, so I needed an energy and a Dark Patch to be able to load up that Mewtwo. Was able to take out his Mewtwo, that put us down at 1 prize each, and he just didn't have the resources. I think after that next turn, yeah, I could have taken pretty much anything out with that Mewtwo. He already had some damage stuff on the field, so that was pretty much it. So feeling pretty good about that game, but my next opponent in top 4 is another Blastoise Keldeo deck. Now I have won 3 matches against Blastoise Keldeo, but the difference in my last match was it was against Ashawn. And if you don't know Ashawn, he's, I forget how far he got in Nationals last year, but he's an amazing player. He's definitely one of the best in North Carolina, and he beats me probably 80 to 90%, I think, of all of our games. So I was just really hoping that I could just get 1 win off of him and maybe make the games just kind of come close. The first game that we had, it was just a slaughter. I think he got the turn 2 Blastoise, and turn 3 he Junipers, and Junipers into 5 energy. So he just loads up Keldeo and blows me out of the water. Game 2 was really close, neck and neck. Essentially the only thing that lost it for him was he started out with a Mewtwo, so we were pretty much forced to go into some Mewtwo shenanigans, and he ends up scooping. I pretty much had the win, but it still might have been really, really close. But he goes ahead and scoops just to save on time, so we have enough time for the 3rd game. So you only get, I think we only had a 60-minute top cut, and with only a 60-minute top cut, you know, you really have to watch your time. So I don't know if I really misplayed anything here, or, you know, maybe because I was just trying to rush, trying to get a couple of early prizes just so I could just win based on a prize race. But Blastoise Keldeo really typically does have the a prize race advantage. They typically do take the first few prizes. Hydreigon decks are more for coming back from behind. You know, typically we'll be down by 2 or 3 prizes unless we've gotten some god starts, and you know, that's when we'll come back. So I don't know if I really just blew out a lot of resources. Again, I don't really remember any obvious misplays. I do know I was just rushing, trying to get something in there. And yeah, he pretty much just set up the board and just slaughtered me. Good news is that even though I didn't make it to top 2, he went on, you know, obviously he goes on to top 2 to face a Blastoise Keldeo mirror match. Pretty much the exact same deck against another really amazing player, and I stuck around and watched those 2 games, and he just wiped the floor with his opponent. I think despite him winning again, you know, or beating me, he mostly, I think, flipped 3 tails on Super Scoop Up in our games, maybe even 4 tails. However, against his opponent in top 2, I think he hit 3 heads in crucial areas. So he'd won the first 2 games, and that was it. So I lost to the guy that got first place. I don't think that's anything to be ashamed of. So nice long tournament report. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to another cities tomorrow, and until I get Blastoise Keldeo stuff in the mail, I think I'm just going to stick with the Hydreigon deck, tweak it a little bit, and we'll see how I do. So if I do really well again, you know, top 8 or something like that, I'll have another tournament report up for you. If not, I'll have more battle videos and maybe some openings coming up this week. So stay tuned.